Have you ever wanted to see a child-friendly version of Christine? Well, the Love Bug is it. This is the story about Herbie, a car who is in fact alive. He attaches himself to a driver, played by Dean Jones, who's down on his luck and can barely pay the bills, so he tries to find a new car to enter some races with. Of course, Herbie doesn't seem like the kind of car to win a lot of races, but it follows him home. So he strikes up a deal with the guy who owns the car, played by David Tomlinson, who hands him over, and sure enough, he's winning a ton of races now. But Tomlinson, who of course is a racer himself, starts to catch on himself that the car is alive, and so he makes Dean Jones a deal. Whoever wins the most races will officially own the car. No more payments needed. So, quite literally, the race is on to see who can win and who will take permanent ownership of Herbie. Of course, being a Disney film, there's side characters, there's romance, there's a lot of goofy comedy, and a lot of great visuals. When you actually say the synopsis to yourself, though, a car that's alive, what do you really expect out of this? I think going in with that mindset, you might find that the movie is actually a bit better than you think it might be. But again, going in with the mindset that it's about a car that's alive. First off, the car doesn't talk or have any eyes or a mouth or anything like that. It's all just done through its actions, which some would argue wouldn't form that much of a personality, but with the passion and caring that the side characters as well as the direction takes, you do sort of get an idea what he's like. He's energetic, he's thoughtful, he's kind, but he's also very easy to offend. He's got a big heart and always wants to do what is right, even if he can get a little jealous at times. Heck, he can get downright depressed. There's actually a scene where he tries to commit suicide. Yeah, it's that kind of weird friggin' movie. So if you can allow the goofiness of this to kinda set in, it's actually kind of enjoyable in just how goofy it is. It strangely works because even though there is a lot of comedy and goofy moments, the direction actually takes it kinda seriously. In fact, you kinda laugh at how seriously it's being taken sometimes. Again, a car committing suicide. Really think about that without laughing. It's taking a goofy subject so seriously that after a while, when you're done laughing at it, you too almost kind of take it seriously. Well, the key word being almost. Dean Jones is a good lead, Michelle Lee is good support, Buddy Hackett is Buddy Hackett, again, just sort of adds to the goofiness. But easily the best part is David Tomlinson as the villain. It's strange that he's been in so many Disney films, but he's never straight up been the bad guy. He was a hero in Benops and Broomsticks, and in Mary Poppins, he wasn't really a villain, he was just sort of led in the wrong direction. But here, he's a straight-up baddie, and oh my god, does he just relish every moment of it. Look at that snobby smile, look at those eyes fume whenever he gets angry. Listen to that voice whenever he screams.
I demand that the thing is impounded and checked. I've finished being generous, George. Blast you, Herschel! How dare you patronize me? I tell you, there's more going on here than meets the eye. Herschel! I am not losing my nerve! I've got to find out what?
You can't help but laugh every time he's on screen. He steals every single moment. The slapstick, as well as the driving in this movie, is pretty damn impressive. Again, it's over the top, it's cartoony, it's so silly, but yeah, it gets a giggle. I think my absolute favorite is when Tomlinson gets knocked into the car and they find out how he's in there.
Get me out of here!
I piss my pants every time I see that scene. Some scenes are definitely a product of the times, but actually that can get a good laugh too. Like here's something that definitely only makes sense back then, but it's still really hilarious.
Help! I'm a prisoner! I can't get out!
We all prisoners, Chicky baby. We all locked in.
It's all for something so silly as a car is alive. But again, you kind of give it credit that it never quite went too far. Like I said, as giving it a face or like a voice or anything like that, that would have been total overkill. But this is just the right amount of goofy. If I did have a major criticism of it, I would say it is a little too long. There's only so many times we can see Dean Jones get sad and then brought back up, and that looks like they're gonna lose, and then they're back in the game again, and then they have to convince somebody else that Herbie's alive, and yeah, it's sort of repetitive. It could have used a real trimming. But again, for what we could have gotten, this isn't that bad. Or at least it's entertainingly bad. But with good elements that kind of make it entertainingly good, I don't know. Just say the phrase, it's a movie about a car that's alive. If you have no interest in an idea like that, then you're not gonna like this movie. But if you're even remotely interested, I say there's a chance that this could actually get some good laughs out of you. It's hard for me not to like it. There's just something so innocent and silly about it, as well as a lot of effort. Yeah, it's stupid, but I can't help but like it. Herbie will always have a place in my mechanical heart. Okay, so I said I would talk about the sequels and remakes to a lot of these movies, and with Herbie, oh my god, there are so many. It's funny when you think of Disney and all the sequels and characters that they use that Herbie is not usually mentioned among them, but he has a ton of sequels and remakes. There's Herbie Rides Again, Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo, Herbie Goes Bananas. There's a remake with Lindsay Lohan. And yes, there's even a remake with Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell drove Herbie. It's so friggin' weird. And pretty much all these movies range from to weird and surreal I don't know, it's hard for me to think of a movie that was downright painful, like it was so bad I just wanted to turn it off, but at the same time, none of these really grab me that much. Some of them have some really surreal moments, like in Herbie Rides Again. I remember the villain has a dream that a bunch of evil Herbies are chasing him and trying to eat him. Yeah, it's pretty out there. But after that, they all kind of gel together. It's somebody discovering the car is alive, trying to convince themselves it's not alive, but coming around to realizing it is alive and trying to convince other people that it's alive, them not believing, and then coming around, winning some races, hijinks ensue. I don't know. In all honesty, the idea only had possibility for one movie, and even then, it wasn't really that much possibility. They just kind of got lucky in how goofy it was, and how much passion they put into it. But then again, there is sort of this weird, funny charm to some of them as well in just the idea. Again, Bruce Campbell driving Herbie. Just watching him talk to the car is kind of funny. But really, that's just kind of a kitsch thing, like, oh, isn't it funny if you know who Bruce Campbell is and know what Herbie is to see them together talking, but yeah, that's not really enough to make it last throughout an entire movie. There's one with Lindsay Lohan and Michael Keaton, and yeah, what really annoys me about this one is, remember how I was saying how great it was before that Herbie never really had any eyes or he didn't talk or anything like that? Well, here they tried to give Herbie a face. Yeah, it'll roll its eyes, it'll kind of smile, and it really doesn't work. I don't know, just something about talking cars, they never work for Disney. I think it's more fun if you just kind of guess what the car is feeling and you kind of put your own emotions onto it. But when you actually see it react to something, it's pretty dumb. I guess I give it credit that the series apparently had enough steam for so many movies and remakes, but again, I don't know how many people really talk about it or remember them. They're kind of like the Disney direct-to-DVD sequels, you just kind of go, oh, that existed. And again, I don't recall any that were like a sin against nature bad, but I don't think any really require that much of a viewing. If you're gonna check them out, I'd say do it just for mere curiosity. Don't expect to get anything that great out of it. If you do have that curiosity, go and find out for yourself. If you want a film that sums up all the forgettability about Disney, I'd probably point to the Aristocats. I've only seen this movie once or twice in my life, and every time I have, I've totally forgotten that I even watched it. Again, like most Disney movies, there's nothing really that terrible about it, I just can't find anything really spectacular about it, or even that good. Disney movies like this really annoy me though because it's just being cutesy for the sake of being cutesy. Okay, what's the story? This butler finds that he's gonna inherit a bunch of cats, and it turns out he hates cats. He's allergic to them and can't stand them. So he tries to get rid of them through the old-fashioned cliche of throwing them off a bridge. Which, by the way, am I the only one disturbed that that's an old-fashioned cliche? Do people actually do this? What the fuck was wrong with folks back then? Well, anyway, there are these two pretty funny dogs that chase him down, and we do get a pretty entertaining chase scene out of it. But after that, it's just the cats trying to find their way home and the other interesting cats that they come across along the way. There's no depth, there's no intrigue, there's no interesting twists and turns, there's no fun adventure. It's just cats looking cute and bouncing around to fun music. I don't know, even as a kid I remember being really bored by this movie. I hear other people liked it when they were younger, but I don't know many that like it now that they're older. I actually find it one of the weaker Disney films simply because it leaves little to no impact. Even Disney, when it made its biggest mistakes, at least left memorable mistakes. This one I never even have any memory of watching. Yeah, I'm probably being too harsh on it, it probably was meant for much, much younger kids, but from Disney, I expected a lot more. Better story, better characters, better animation. Personally, I'd skip it.
Everybody, everybody, everybody wants to be a cat. Everybody, everybody.
How do you top something as big as Mary Poppins? Well, getting almost the exact same group together helps. Yeah, the same director, the same song team, some of the same actors. Let's work in a story that's very similar. Maybe not a magic nanny, but a witch. And maybe not Julie Andrews, but Angela Lansbury. And maybe not Britain, but yeah, okay, still Britain. But completely different kids. This resulted in Bedknobs and Broomsticks. What in many respects should have been just sort of a lame knockoff trying to recapture the Mary Poppins feeling actually does become its own unique thing. And it's fun, and imaginative, and catchy, and funny, and has Nazis in it. Yeah, we'll get to that, but let's start from the beginning. It's World War II and a lot of our men are sent to war, which means that a lot of kids have to live in foster homes. So 3 of them are sent to live with Mrs. Price, who is not on board with the idea, but the government says that she has no choice. So she takes them in, and eventually they find out her secret that she is in fact a witch. Originally the kids try to blackmail her with it, but then they remember, oh yeah, she's a witch, and they decide to play nice. But trouble comes a-brewing when she realizes that the program that she was getting all her spells from is closing down, and just before the most important spell was going to be sent. You see, she was hoping to use this spell to end the war, but without it, she can't do a thing. So they use her magic to travel on a bed to the guy who created the program, Professor Brown, who we find out is actually nothing more than a con artist magician. You see, he never actually believed in the magic he was spewing out, he was just doing it to make a quick buck. But when he finds it works for Mrs. Price, money signs appear in his eyes and he decides to take advantage of it. At least, tries to. She keeps trying to get the final piece of the spell to win the war, and he just wants to utilize her to get some money. So through a ton of traveling in various locations and a bunch of different spells, they go from one magic situation to another magic situation, including bringing objects to life, traveling to an island where the animals rule, and even getting a chance to take down the Nazi army with their final spell. So yeah, let's talk about that elephant in the room first. The climax of this movie is actually fighting off Nazis, and it's done in a comedic, fun, over-the-top way. You could make the argument that this is really bad taste in the same way that maybe Hogan's Heroes is kind of bad taste. But even though it's clear they're bad guys, you never really see them do anything that horrible. Even the mission they're on is more of a training exercise than it is actual killing people. And they're not made to look super horrible, there's definitely some comedic moments with them, but yeah, you could argue that makes it even kind of worse. What, we're supposed to kind of be laughing with Nazis and showing our kids this? Some sensitivities are definitely going to be jeopardized here, so just know this is the climax of the movie, and it never gets bloody or gritty, but like I said, some people might take that the wrong way too. With that said, the movie is really charming and really entertaining. I always said this is sort of what the Harry Potter movies could have been if they wanted to have a little bit more fun with their idea, and not take it so damn seriously. And that's what this movie does. It has fun. It goes from fun location to fun location, introduces great song after great song, great dance number after great dance number, some great effects. And at the center of it is Angela Lansbury and David Tomlinson, who are both fantastic. They take these roles so seriously. But not to a point where it's distracting, it's to a point where they totally suck you in. Even in scenes where they're talking with animated characters, it never looks like they're turning to the camera and winking like, yeah, we know this is kind of stupid. You just totally believe they're really there, because it seems like they really believe they're really there. I also love how David Tomlinson is sort of this likable scoundrel. He is a con artist, but at the same time, he's not a bad guy. And yeah, we do have to go through that scene where he tries to go away thinking that the family didn't get to him and that he doesn't care, even though you know he's gonna go back, and yeah, it's stupid, but you put up with it to get to the fun climax. The song's fantastic. Again, it's the Sherman Brothers, some of the best songwriters of all time, and these are some of their best songs. Street where the riches of ages are stowed. The slapstick when they travel to the island filled with animals is a little long, but I don't mind because I love slapstick, and this is some good stuff. The timing, the sound effects, it's all perfect. The climax, again, depending on your sensitivity to the whole Nazi thing, it's still friggin' awesome. It's so cool how they can build up this great comedy, but also this great epic size to it. I mean, just look how cool this is, seeing all this armor come to life. And listen to that kick-ass chant that they got. Like I said, it's mostly played for laughs, but it's pretty cool too. If I did have a problem with the movie, I would say that the child actors aren't that great. I mean, the girl does okay, but the two boys are nothing that great. Charlie's delivery is a little too deadpan, and Paul, oh man, I don't even think he's trying.
You can eat like a king in a Portobello Road.
But, they're kids, and they're not really the focus. The focus is on our two main characters, as where it should be. Now, there is one thing that's really important to note about this movie. If you do see it, make sure you see the original cut. If you get it on DVD, they usually give you the extended, and that's not the one you want to see. I know a lot of times I always say, oh, they left stuff out and they should put it back in, but when they put it back in this version, it goes on forever. And this movie is already pretty long. I mean, some parts are okay, like David Tomlinson has a song sequence that was cut out that's actually kind of fun. There's one or two moments that are kind of neat to see, but for example, the Portobello Road sequence, in the original, it's really great. It's this long kind of party going on with all these different ethnicities and cultures coming together and having a great time, and when it's done, you're really sad that it's done, and there's sort of this emptiness, like the party is over, and oh, you just want to go on forever. Well, in the other cut, it does go on forever, and ever, and ever, and ever, and oh my god, it'll just never end! There's a song sequence with Mrs. Price after Professor Brown leaves where she sings about how much she misses him. And it's nice, I guess, but is it really needed? Doesn't it kind of go without saying that she really misses him? Little additions like that can really make it drag on, so I would strongly advise if you are going to see this film, try to see the original and not the extended cut. Only check that out if you're curious to see some of the missing scenes, which are neat, but way too long. But with that said, I say this is kind of similar to Mary Poppins, even if it does take sort of a different direction that's more of action-adventure than it is a charming little kid story. Hell, you could argue it's like Mary Poppins with swords. And what the hell's wrong with that? I absolutely love it. I love the story, I love the characters, I love the performances, I love the songs, I love it all. It's an awesome adventure that's definitely worth checking out.